welcome back to Sunday Night Golf Show. I'm joined by Mike, coach, family figure, father figure to Bryson DeChambeau.
You bet.
So,
thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So before we talk about your relationship with him and kind of the golf swing with him, let's learn a little bit about yourself. So when did you first play golf? What got you into being a golf coach?
Started playing when I was 7, 8 years old. Very fortunate in Northern California. We had a great junior golf program, lots of junior golf tournaments to play. I played in every sport. Soccer was one of my favorite sports. Love soccer, or football, I guess you guys call it here. Just played junior golf, played high school, and then played golf at Fresno State. Turned pro right out of that. But I went the club route. I was a head pro at a golf club early on, and became a PGA member in 1990, I believe, and met Bryson when, let's see, he was probably 8 years old. His dad and I, believe it or not, we played junior golf together, so I've known his dad since the mid-'70s. And so his dad became the director of golf at our facility, and Bryson liked hanging out at the tent, which is what we call the place where I coach and teach out of. And when he was 12, he decided, hey, I want you to be my coach, full-time kind of thing. And he went and told his dad, Mike is going to be my coach now, and we've kind of been together ever since.
Perfect. So that relationship started with 12. Were you with him all the way through his college life?
Yes. Yeah, we pretty much, for the most part, went over every single round of golf he did. From the time he was probably 12, 13, I would probably say 95% of the time I went over hole by hole, shot by shot with him, even till recent. Obviously on tour it's a little easier because they keep all those stats. In college we literally would get on the phone and he would go over every shot and I'd write it down and we'd do the greens and regs and fairways hits and just go over everything that he would do. What was interesting, I think somebody did a stat at one point with him that he had a 75% chance of finishing in the top 5 of any golf tournament he would play in amateur or college golf. So that's pretty solid player. Now for him though, what was really funny with him is that he hated the fact that he didn't win more, Sure. And so, I always look at, hey dude, you finished second again. Yeah, I know, that's 3 in a row. And looking like any great player, they want to win. It's just, what can I do better?
I guess that kind of shows a lot about his character. But the way he is and the way he goes about the golf game, I guess it's probably a lot down to you and the way you kind of start with him at 12 and a mixture of him as well, but definitely a blend of what you've done together. So when you first I think they label Bryson swinging it different to what everybody does.
Right.
So has he always done that, or was it a little bit of your influence, or both of you together? How would you kind of...
Yeah, definitely together. The thing about Bryson that I think I promoted, in my environment, just think of it as a science project. So it's a science project that's probably gone really wrong in a lot of ways. And so for Bryson, he was a physics major in college, so he loved science, loved math. He loved testing and trying new things. And so in my environment, that's what I promote. And so I gave him the golfing machine book when I think he was 14, 15 years old. We started reading that. I'd grown up around the golfing machine since I was probably 13, 14 years old. And I thought it'd be a good book for him because it kind of defined terminology and it was based on some physics and math and geometry. So it was just right up his alley. And so we tried a lot of different things. I never said no to him. That was the thing that I think a lot of people misunderstood in that process. And Bryson and I talked about it all the time. If he struggled in a golf tournament or he was going to try something, we had to talk about, hey, you're going to play badly, potentially, and are you okay with that? And so because this was always about the end, not that time. Now, you say that to a 15-year-old, and they go and shoot, they lose to a kid they should never lose to, and there's some pretty rough moments, in that. He kind of forgets that. But again, that's the way he's always been. The trial and error process has been an important factor.
So when you first started working with him, was his mindset that he wanted to be on the PGA Tour, wanted to play in around the world? Yeah,
100%. That was his whole goal. That's where I'm going to be, and that's what I tried to facilitate as much as possible.
So that leads me nicely onto the 3 years you spent with him. You said to off camera before, you said you spent pretty much all the time within those 3 years away from home, traveling with him and being part of his story. Like you said, he was new onto tour. It's a daunting environment for anybody, even at a young age as well. Even if you would gain your card at say 30, 35, a little bit more experience playing golf. But at the age he was, could you just give us an insight into how that was, that life on tour, those 3 years?
I think the first thing that you need to understand about Bryson is that when he failed, he felt he was letting people down.
Sure.
And so not only himself, obviously he was disappointed in his own play, but a lot of times he would tell me, he goes, you know, like now he has Puma and Cobra, and you know, kids would want his autograph and he'd miss the cut, and he'd go, I don't understand why they want my autograph. You know, I just played poorly. I missed the cut. Why, you know, and I'm letting them down. I'm letting, you know, his sponsors down, and which drove him, I think. You know, not only does he want to be the best, but he wants to be the best for the people that support him as well. And I think people miss that about him. I think the other part was when he came on tour, being the U.S. AM NC2A champion, again, swinging a little differently, a little different in respect to how he approached the game. All that was just more pressure. Sure. And so, and he was different, and you know how it is when you're different. A lot of people want to criticize that, you know, and so, but that's individuality, and so Dustin Johnson is different, Brooks Koepka is different, Tiger Woods is, everybody's different. It just, Bryson was a little more different in certain areas that people weren't used to. And so the other thing I think they forget about him as well is that he's very artistic. He's very creative, and people think he's this methodical engineer or whatever, but in reality, you put him in the worst position and his brain goes into creativity mode like you can't imagine. And everybody misses that about him.
So what would you say for example, on a Monday of a tournament, what would a week of a tournament look like for you and him when you're starting out? In the beginning it was late to the practice tee because he was young and wanted to sleep in or whatever. But you know, again, it was, you know, off to the practice tee, you know, hitting a lot of balls, you know, in the beginning, you know, maybe 9 holes practice, but a lot more, you know, hitting golf balls. And again, the other part that you have to understand, he was a physics major in college, so, you know, he would go to school, then practice 4 or 5 hours of golf, and then have to go study till 1:12 in the, you know, very sick, you know, being a physics major is not an easy major. No. Not that college is easy, probably, you know, in a lot of ways, but the reality is physics is very difficult. Once that was gone, now what do you fill? What void do you fill there? And so he got even more into the golf swing, which was obviously to be expected. And so trying to understand his body, biomechanics, now the brain, how the brain functions, and so on. And so so that's a pretty deep conversation, or a very lengthy conversation. He's talked about, you know, where he kind of figures he is in the discovery of playing great golf consistently. And it takes a lot of time and effort to, you know, discover those things, especially for somebody who wants to really truly know how, let's say, how your body functions. You know, it's not just, okay, I can do this. It's like, what muscle is doing what, and what's the joint doing what, and so on. And so it can be very in-depth. And those are all things he loves to do. So that's how he's filled that void. Thank goodness in some ways, because, you know, it could have been it could have been alcohol or drugs or whatever. So I was watching the golf when he won the Amiga Dubai Desert Classic. He gave us an interview when we were watching the European Tour, and he said he's 60% on his mission to fulfilling his whole story. Now, I know this is probably at a big 40%, but if you could kind of give us a little snippet about what that 40% might entail for him and yourself.
Well, we've talked about the final frontier is the brain. I mean, that's, you know, I think that's something that in some ways he avoided, and now he's trying to understand that more, how the brain functions and how certain elements of breathing can affect how the brain functions. And there's, you know, there's so many aspects of the brain that we don't even know about, and I think that's kind of where he's at now in understanding that. He's understanding his body and how his body functions at different levels. He knows as he gets older, the body's going to change, and so I think he knows and understands that that 40% probably will never be fulfilled. But for him, the quest
is part of the story, part of him playing well.
Yeah, it's what he doesn't. I think I would be worried if he said. In fact, I do, because, you know, at times he said, "I think I got it." That's the scariest. I mean, with any student. I figured it out, that usually the crash is right around the corner. And so I think as long as Bryson keeps saying that I'm trying to discover, and I think he's going to keep improving and getting better.
Perfect. Hopefully see some more wins. I mean, he's on a hot streak at the minute.
No doubt about it.
Let's see if we can maybe pick up a major this year as well.
No doubt. I mean, again, Augusta, I think he really truly knows Augusta better than anybody. You know, obviously Tiger and some of the older players, there's obviously longevity there, but he loves that place so very much, and wants to know every nuance of that facility. And so I really believe he's improved his putting dramatically, and so that will make a big difference, I think, at Augusta. I would be surprised in the end of his career if he doesn't win, a few Masters.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming on the channel. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching the Sunday Night Golf Show on Alex Elliott Golf. Don't forget to subscribe. Plenty of content coming your way this summer to help improve your game, as well as interviews with people like Mike. Thank you.